Okay, today we are working on a 2021 Toyota Tacoma. It has a couple engine codes. We're gonna kind of dig around and see what's going on with it. I'm not 100% sure what's going on with it. It's just misfiring and rough idling and driving rough. Doesn't want to rev up, misfires, sputters, and kind of limits the RPMs. So we're gonna take a look and see what's going on with it. Let's do the code scan, see what that says and what that tells us, and then we'll go from there. All right, we got this thing charged up enough to do a little diagnostic. So we're gonna hop in there, we're gonna do some diagnostic and see what kind of codes this thing's throwing. Here you can see the injector circuit open, cylinder 2, with the camshaft position sensor circuit, high bank 2, intake air temperature sensor, throttle position sensor. Those are all on the same circuit in the vehicle, and they can cause each other to have issues when one of them is messed up. So what I did from here was start tearing the engine apart to find where this break in the circuit was. They really make this super nice to work on because the engine's about 20 feet away from you. It's probably hard for you to tell, but it's back there a ways. Okay, that's free. These are free. This guy's gotta go. Now we just have to contend with getting this wire off of there. It's just getting rewrapped because I cannot get to the back side of that one, which is kind of unfortunate. What else we got? Well, we're just gonna do the old engine removal, and you just pull until you figure out what's holding you back. We got one more hose down here. We got one more connector in the back. I think we're free. Nope, nope. We got another hose over here. Goodness gracious, how many hoses does this thing need? This truck got all the hose. Oh, that is not going anywhere. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, we're gonna take it off on the other side where I can pull straight up. Straight up. Oh my goodness. We got another one. Bro, what is this, throttle body? Cooled with the coolant? It does not want to go anywhere. Okay, you know what? We're just gonna call that good. Get this up out of the way. Yeah, and it didn't hit the ground. Great. And it's magnetic. Great. Ooh. Okay. Before I get too crazy, we're gonna get something to cover that intake up. But you can see it had some rodent damage or something. I mean, I'll get you in here closer and show you. Man, the whole wire's right there. All right, let me get this intake covered up. Clean it while we're here. Yeah, it's been running pretty rough. I need 2 rags per opening. Okay, let's get you in here a little closer. Man, being my own cameraman is kind of a huge pain in my butt. Hopefully it don't die. So you can see that green wire right there is the wire from this harness that we're messing with. I'm gonna try to repair. I don't see the other ones. There's one of them. Bunch of stuff down in there. Looks like a critter was up in here, gnawing on that end of that. It's kind of hard to see. Yeah, there you go. You can see those gnaw marks. We're just gonna check the rest of the wire loom, make sure nothing else is busted or broken or chewed through. Oh yeah, right there too. Oh boy. Can you see that? Yep, that's gonna be fun. And right there, I don't know how far they made it through right there, but that's an issue. And I don't know about the rest of it, but yeah, we're gonna have to dig in pretty deep because looks like there's been some fairly extensive damage, at least on those two spots. That's got at least one wire, maybe two, that are actually broken. So everything else so far so good. I'm gonna let the customer know about the secondary damage down there and that this may be a bigger job than we expected and see what they want to do. All right, sorry I forgot to hit record, but we're just getting the last butt connector on this. That way we can get this new pigtail spliced in, cleaned up, and looking good. So I took the old connector and the new connector and I labeled these. This is red, this is light green, this is dark green.
I have light gray, medium gray, dark gray.
You do?
My bad, I'm colorblind.
So we're gonna stab them in there. And I think I'm gonna leave a little extra just in case this ever happens again. I don't like leaving a little tiny amount of wire. This might be a little excessive, but I'm an electrician. I know what I'm doing. There's that. We're gonna get those heat shrunk and then we'll clean the wiring up, get some loom over it, make it look halfway decent. Looks like we're using the Milwaukee cordless. All right, got those all nice and heat shrunk. Gonna grab the best electrical tape you can buy, Scotch Super 33. Not a huge fan of that stuff, but in a situation like this where you need to keep the wires protected, it's better than the alternative of doing nothing. Got that sealed up pretty good. I think that'll do just fine. Now we got to get down into here, into the valley, and figure out what we're doing with that wire loom. Might have to pop it free all the way back. Yeah, we got two wires there. These ones are good. But of course, it's two wires going down to something that I can't tell yet. Looks like thing. It's going to a thing, so that's good. Surprised we didn't find a bigger mouse house in here with how much they chewed up in here. We got to figure out what we're doing there. I forgot to record that, but I blew it out and got a new battery and light there. So now we got to get down in here and get that taken care of. We're gonna get this taken off of there. And unfortunately, we got to take not only the manifold off, but it also has the fuel rails attached to it. So we're gonna have to take those bad boys off too, which is always super fun. Could have sworn I had a little screwdriver in my back pocket. I do. I'm assuming these are like the Ford connectors, but I could be wrong. Ooh. Annoyingly, unless I'm blind, which is a very real possibility, these don't seem to have a Schrader valve to bleed this off, which is what I would normally do on older rigs. Like I've done this probably 100 times on my Ranger. We're gonna get this disconnected, put up a little higher so it doesn't keep leaking on us. It should subside without the fuel pump, obviously, but as you can see with this, it's gonna have fuel all the way down to the injectors, so this whole rail is gonna be full of fuel. So we're just gonna get fuel everywhere. Stuff some rags in these guys so we don't get anything down there, because that would not be fun. This almost feels like a watch Wes work video, which I kind of like. Just dealing with electrical gremlins and mouse problems. I don't know what these are down here. Your guess is as good as mine. And also, it don't matter what they are because I just gotta fix it. But luckily, I think we have found the end of our issues. Unluckily, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to fix that where it's at, but, well, I might. It's just color for color on these two right here. Then we got some chewed up stuff right there. And this guy is definitely gonna need a little bit of splicey splice. We got one wire in there with bare wire. Probably just gonna take and cut this loom back and put some liquid electrical tape on there. And as for the rest of it, it looks fairly okay. Okay, so this one looks like we're just gonna liquid electrical tape that guy too. See this sweet knife? I don't know if you can see it, but I got this as a birthday present from one of my good buddies. And then I used my other birthday present from another good buddy to engrave it or laser it. So I got Skeeters Garage on the blade there. And then I also got some topo print on the side. Sweet little knife, Kershaw, love that thing. Does really well. Okay, so one side we're not working with a whole lot of wire, but I think it's doable. I just gotta cut it back far enough I can get to it. All right, so we're ready to continue on down here, and I got some parts that we're gonna need to fix this up. Got some heat shrink butt connectors for that. Got a new heat shrink gun that is designed for stuff this small, and you know, working around the rest of the wiring harness, I'd really like to not get anything too hot down there. So even though it's in the engine valley, which is a great place to put wires that are meltable and burnable. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna fix up the ones that have nicks in them with some liquid electrical tape, get those kind of nice and cleaned up, and then we're gonna get that one soldered back together and get it done. And then we can start putting this bad boy back together. All right, so we got the butt splice that we're gonna put in there. So I'm gonna set that down right there. Don't let me forget that. And then I gotta get my stripas, which I put in a place that I wouldn't forget them. And I forgot where that place is. So that's good. We're on a roll today. And I got this fancy new heat gun that we're gonna be able to kind of direct the heat in here, so that'll be good. So we're gonna get that stripped out. That's pretty good. Retain and throw away that bad boy. And I think we're gonna have to cut this one off, but we're gonna try to strip it out clean first and then see. And this is a solder butt splice, so it's got glue on both sides, and then solder in the middle. So hopefully this will never have an issue again after this. So we gotta slide it all the way through, kinda square these wires up and put it back through. We got them right there. Now nobody breathe, nobody move. All right, I think we're good. Okay, I'm gonna get a little bit more on that guy up there. A little bit more on this guy down here. This one seems to be all right. Get these taped up as best I can. And then we'll start on the reassembly process of getting this thing put back together. Gonna get a little bit more of this on all of them. Get a little heat on those to hopefully keep them from migrating. You know, like I said before, I'm not a huge fan of this stuff, but there's not really any other options here other than redoing the entire wiring harness. All right, so I'm gonna give that about 15 or 20 minutes to completely set up, then we'll come back, tape it all up, start putting this bad boy back together. Do one final inspection of all the wiring, make sure there's nothing else anywhere else that's super obviously broken, and then we can move on. All right, we got some Super 33. We're just gonna pull us off a little bit of it because we're not gonna be able to fit this whole roll, obviously, under there. Probably get a couple pieces in here because it's gonna be a pain. And unfortunately, none of the local parts stores have the rat deterrent electrical tape, but I've heard mixed reviews about it, that it works, but it doesn't, and I don't know. I don't know if it'll make any difference, really. You know, I've never had this issue where rats have gotten into my wiring. I mean, I've had old pickups for 20 years almost, you know, and never had a problem with them having rat eating the wiring. But apparently the Tacomas and the Toyotas in general use organic wire coverings, and so apparently the rats and mice love it, which is unfortunate for me and this owner of this vehicle, because we own Tacomas. Now we can start putting this bad boy back together. I'm gonna just take another little gander around, see if there's any other issues that I can see. I think we just gotta start putting it back together. All right. We gotta figure out how to shoehorn this bad boy in there, because not only do we have to get this guy in here, we gotta get the fuel rail in there at the same time, because it does not like to fit. There we go. That wasn't too bad so far. Not a huge fan of this fuel rail setup where the plugs are on these like that. It kind of makes them a pain to put in. I mean, it's doable, obviously. Oh, I need these guys. Okay, and then we make sure that all the rubber grommets that hold the fuel injectors in are good. You gotta get these little nipples lined up when you put these bad boys in there. Okay, and I think the rest is the intake manifold, plenum. We can get that up over here and start doing that. I think that's good there, and everything's plugged in over here. Throttle body's plugged in. I think the only thing that I have left on this side is moving this guy and this guy. There's some clamps on some hoses, and then everything else is just putting it together with clippies and snapping it together and taping that wire on that other side. Okay, then we got 3 mounting bolts to hold this bad boy on there. 1, there's 2, there's 3. Then we got this one little guy that holds these guys on. You know, the first thing I ever really took apart, the very first thing I ever took apart on a vehicle was a fuel tank. That was the very first thing I ever did, was taking a fuel tank out of my old pickup, the Ranger. But the first thing I did mechanical wise, that wasn't just like take it apart and put it back together a couple years later, was my intake on my Ranger. The whole top end off apart, and that was the very first thing I learned how to do. Luckily, this is pretty familiar, and it's really not too bad to do. It's just time consuming, and it's not super technical, like setting up timing and stuff like that, but it is very time consuming. Okay, that's all taped up good. That connector in the back's connected. Okay, we're gonna go move on to putting the intake and top filter housing back together, which this is not bad at all. See, we're already halfway done with it. I'd like to take this moment and opportunity to give thanks to God for giving me the skills that I have to work on stuff like this. I think it's a dying art. A lot of guys don't want to do it, and I don't blame them. This went pretty smoothly. It's 9 times out of 10, this stuff is built so poorly and engineered so poorly. It's great when it's working, but for fixing it, the engineering is kind of trash. Not to dog on the engineers out there. So I'm just gonna take a look around with a smaller light and ensure that we have everything we need plugged in. Make sure we're good to do our startup. Okay, I think we're good to fire it up and see what happens. We're going to do kind of a soft start, and we'll just turn the key on and see what happens. See if it's got any problems with anything right now. All right, we got good news and great news. Good news is it's running. Great news is there's no check engine light on. I'm gonna run the code scanner, clear the codes just to be sure, see if we can get those permanent ones to go away. And then I just gotta get this cover back on real quick. Everything looks good, sounds good. We'll also shut this thing off so it doesn't get too trippy in here. Okay, we got to do this quick so we don't get too high. Either that or I'm going to have to go open the garage door. We're going to do an all system code scan. So OBD2, no faults. ECM, no fault. So we're doing good. 25% done. Ooh, 30. It might get a little stuffy in here, but if I don't post the video, you'll know. I got a little too fuzzy in the shop. This thing is pretty great. If I could only figure out how to use it properly with OBD2 sensors, we'd be set. Pre-collision system. Other system malfunction. So it doesn't really give us anything for the C1A63. Let's see what that says. So this could be anything from camera, well this says It indicates that the vehicle's driving support ECU has detected a fault in the sensor, camera, wiring, or calibration, disabling your PCS, cruise control, and lane keep features. Could be dirt, could be damaged wiring, windshield replacement, voltage fluctuation, or sensor misalignment. And it went away. So we are all good here. All right, this thing's all ready to go. It's all cleaned up. All the codes are gone. No check engine light, no warning light. It does need an oil change. This is ready to roll. I'm gonna get it pulled out of the shop, get the paperwork done, and send it on its way.